no restrictions, no holds barred. In the spotlight, we'll also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of life, spotlighting triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of our people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our farmers, our public servants, youth, and the ordinary Dominica. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the Spotlight will also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight.
Minutes past 8 o'clock. We're coming to you in a few seconds. (8:11), the time in the studios of Q95 FM. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Such a pleasure to be here with you after a short break last week. It wasn't my fault. It was Pentecost Monday in Dominica. And when it's a holiday, I sometimes like to enjoy the holiday as well. What I should have done last week was to play you a nice repeats, but we didn't get around to that. But I'll try to make sure. And you know, people message and they say, even if it's a repeat, you can go ahead and put a repeat on for us. But we're back here this Monday. A few things to talk about. Welcome again, one and all. It is a pleasure to be here on another Monday night for the In the Spotlight radio show. Don't forget our platforms. We have our In the Spotlight radio show page that you should check out, follow, become a fan of our group. It's the ITS Radio Show Fans group. So look for that as well and become a fan. And I welcome all of those of you who recently became a fan of our group. We have a YouTube channel. It's Fredina F. Frampton, so you can go there and also subscribe to the channel if you wish to support us in our efforts and what we do. We have Cash App. It's $Spotlighters. So please feel free to make a contribution. And somebody made a contribution today. She told me she's going to be on. So thank you for that contribution, my dear. She actually has made it almost like something that she does every month or every other month, you know, as a subscription just to support. So I appreciate that. And, you know, sometimes they prefer their name not called, they're just supporting the vibe, right? Simone, okay, and if you just want to contact me to see how you can support the show, you can do so by making contact with 275-7565. That's 275-7565. We'll give you details if you want to send something via mobile banking, via MoneyGram, via Western Union, whichever way that you want to send it, you know, we'd be happy to welcome your contributions. Let's acknowledge Q95 FM Radio. Thank you, Mr. G, for having us here on a Monday night and ensuring that, you know, we can reach people, we can motivate, we can inspire. You know, I can set out to do what I committed to do in the honor of my dad, you know, so I'm happy to be here to do this on a Monday night. Josephine Gabriel and company, we thank you for our Tropical Water tonight. We appreciate your support. Callaloo House and the Great Old House, the best place for fine dining in Dominica. Steve, good evening to you and your team. I haven't heard from you as yet, but I'm sure before the night is over, Simone, our dinner will be compliments the Great Old House.
Oh,
yes. We want to thank Flo Dominica for assisting us with our data efforts. So thank you to Flo Dominica. And Flo has our summer train is on right now. And we want you to know that when you switch across to Flow, you're switching, you're coming home to 6 times the data, 6 times more data, and 50% discount on your mobile postpaid bill when you bundle. Thanks to DNO, they always post our flyer on DNO once it becomes available to them. So thank you to Yoni and team. Thank you for your support. Akim Lowe, my designer. Thank you, my graphic designer. Thank you, Akim. GK, Jordan Jerome, that's my partner now. You know, we're working together. Thank you, GK, for your support, and to all the friends and fans of the show. Now, I have a couple of announcements to make. 15 minutes past the hour of 8 o'clock. Now, for those of you who recall when we did the special with Father Albert, so we did a special with Father Albert because Father Albert was leaving the island on Saturday and I could not get him on the show. I couldn't get Father Albert on the show. And so because he was leaving the Saturday, he was just here for a limited amount of time. And so, Simone, I did a short, similar to what you do. Yeah. I did a recording with Father Albert that I aired on the program, on social media, and I think we did the audio here. And people came back and said, you know, you need to do a little bit more of that and so on. And I listened. And so I would like to announce here tonight that we'll be doing a series of 6 programs beginning this Saturday. These will not be on radio, they will only be on social media. So they will only be on YouTube and on Facebook. And we're premiering our very first program this Saturday. I gave you all a task. We got some suggestions for names. I gave you all a task and I said majority will rule. Majority ruled that the name of the program is going to be simply In the Spotlight TV. Very, very simple. And I want to credit Dennis for giving me that suggestion. Thank you, Dennis. And most of the people who voted agreed with you. So it's going to be called In the Spotlight TV. And also, I left it to you to decide on the day and time that it will be aired. So it will be aired Saturdays at 8 p.m. Now remember, folks, a couple of things to keep in mind. This is separate and apart from the program that we do on a Monday night. I am just doing some recordings of other people who are either on island for a short period of time, who are probably at home and cannot make it to the studio, you know, that kind of thing. People who probably may not manage a whole 2-hour program but have a story to share, that kind of thing. So it is only going to be on social media. So if you want to make sure that you catch it and you're on radio, go now to the In the Spotlight Radio Show page and follow the page, or go to my YouTube channel for Dinah F. Frampton and subscribe. This is the only way that you're going to be able to catch these programs. So the first one, as I said, begins this coming Saturday from 8 p.m. on YouTube and social media, my Facebook page. I just want to single out a few companies that have already come on board with me, and I'm so thankful. It's not in any, particular big way per se. I'm doing this for the first time, so I'm saying, just give me a little support so I can pay, GK, who is doing my videography or whatever the case might be. All right, it's nothing big, but I want to thank the insurance company of the West Indies, JD's Naturals, Flo Dominica, We Forward, the Freight Master, Deepex, Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited, Media Links, good evening to you, Lincoln, and also Callaloo House. So these are the folks who have come on board with me so far, and I just want to say thank you to you. Thank you for believing in what I do. As I said, I'm not asking anybody for some huge amounts of money, just a little support, to make sure that we're able to support our videographer, okay, and whatever other little expenses that we may have to do those productions. It's not no highfalutin production. It's just me sitting down with a guest and having a conversation. That's just what it is. 8:19 is the time in the studios. I have a fabulous lady in studios with me, my guest for tonight. We're gonna just take a quick break and we're coming back. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Welcome to the In the Spotlight Radio Show. We'll be back with you shortly.
In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominican life, spotlighting their triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of our people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our farmers, our public servants, youth, and the ordinary Dominican. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the Spotlight will also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight.
20 minutes past the 8 o'clock hour. When you speak of sister to sister collaboration, this is what is happening here tonight. It has already happened on one end. So I've been on push past 10. Many of you who probably listen to only radio probably didn't get to see that. But if you now go on my page or push past 10 or DA Rose, and we'll be giving all her handles tonight, because after this show tonight, those of you who have not yet been listening or following on social media, we want you to follow Dr. Simone Mathieu. All right. So we've done the other end and we're reversing the roles tonight. So Dr. Mathieu has had me on her Push Past 10 social media program, and I'm having her tonight. And I'm quite excited about that, and I know she is too. And these are not collaborations that you see very often, but we're making it happen. We're starting a trend.
We are.
We're starting a trend, right? Let me make sure we have the correct mic here. Dr. Mathieu Simone, my friend.
Simone.
Good evening.
Good evening, Dinah. How are you?
I am doing well, thank you, and yourself.
I am doing well. You know, we go all the way back to Sipocol.
Let me tell you.
You know, back when it was Sipocol and not the State College, so we just aged ourselves. When we go, we say
Watch this, have you fed?
No. It is great to be here with you this evening, and you're in the Spotlight Show. But even before we get started, I want to keep in mind Kadisha,
and it's on my notes.
Yes,
for us to at least
we have to keep her in mind. We have to keep her in our thoughts and our prayers. I am the mother of an almost 11-year-old daughter.
To her age.
So I cannot begin to imagine what her family, her friends are going through. So, we're hoping for a miracle. It's almost a week now since she was kidnapped, and we are hoping for a miracle, but we just want to let her family know that our thoughts and our prayers are with them this evening. So I thought we could begin the program by talking about Kanisha and our prayers that is with the family this evening.
Of course, and I remember just mentioning, just imagine for a moment, stop, pause, imagine for a moment, and try to think where she might be.
Yeah. With no clothes.
And what may be happening, what may be going on, what she may be thinking, how terrified she may be, how scared she may be, exhausted, and all of that. And this young, innocent child must be saying, well, what is happening? Because
she was in her bed.
Yes.
Imagine that.
And from my understanding, she's a very awesome young child. I was told she's very respectful.
Yes.
She will pass you now. She's probably going to the shop and she will say hello, and she's passing back and she'll say hello again.
Yes.
She'll greet you. So this little girl does not deserve whatever is happening to her, whatever is going on right now. And we can only continue to pray and hope, for the best.
Yes.
And be positive and say she's going to be found.
Yes, absolutely.
She's going to be
absolutely.
found. So we just want to keep everyone, all her family, her loved ones, in our prayers, in our thoughts. And I don't know, another day has ended. This is day 6.
Yes, tomorrow will be day 7. She was kidnapped on Tuesday of last week.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if you heard the interview with the gentleman's parents. You're a psychologist. I don't know if I should ask you to say what you made out of it, but we will if you choose to.
Yeah, well, I think they did their best with trying to explain the circumstances that he was facing at the time. But I think it also speaks to the need for mental health intervention in Dominica. We've had so many of these conversations. As a matter of fact, I recently had Carlton Lando on my program, and that is one of the topics we touched on. But we need to do so much more than talking for Dinah. It is at the point where there needs to be intervention, there needs to be, and granted, his parents said that they were giving him his medication, but what else can we do to ensure that another situation like that doesn't repeat itself, right? So I think it is time for us to go beyond just simply talking about it to having interventions on behalf of those who are mentally ill, because being mentally ill is being ill like any other disease, right? So we need to remove the stigma. There's too much stigma to the point where people do not speak up, and then by the time they do speak up, they're far too gone. If we intervene when they're initially diagnosed, when we initially notice something is different about them, then we stand a better chance of getting them on the medications that they need so they can be productive members of society. So I think we need to remove the stigma that often surrounds mental health in Dominica, and we need to be able to help those who need the help before it is too late.
And what we will do, Simone, is a little later on in the program, we will come back on this subject matter. And in the meantime, and I'm sure you already have some thoughts as to some suggestions or some recommendations that you can make in your capacity that could have been done, probably to avoid the situation. What can be done going forward?
Right.
So probably we can spend some time on that a little later on in the program. But yes, so thank you again for being here. How has your vacation been so far?
Oh, wonderful.
What have you done?
Wonderful. Absolutely nothing. That was the plan. Yes, so I haven't been home in the last 8 years.
Ooh.
You know, we had a very small child at the time. She was only 2 the last time we came here. So, you know, sometimes you have to make the sacrifice for family. You have to make the sacrifice when you have a young child, a young family, to just take some time and just invest in your young child. And I think honestly too, what happened was the last time we were here when she was 2, the day we were at the airport in the line getting ready to board our flight, the pilots of Liat went on strike.
Oh.
We were in the line getting ready to approach the counter, and the pilots went on strike with a 2-year-old at the airport from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. So can I tell you, my husband was in no rush to come back to Jamaica. I always wanted to come back. He was in
Tell me what happened again.
So it took 8 years of convincing him that we're gonna go home because
Okay.
it's time. It is time to come back and reconnect and rejuvenate. Because when I come to Dominica, it's about being still. It's about listening to nature. It's about waking up at 6 in the morning. I'm an early riser, and simply sitting on the porch in Bathurst where I grew up and drink my coffee and watch the fowls frolic and watch the dogs, you know, scurry around and listen to the birds and just be still. Just be still. So I'm really, really enjoying my stay. Yesterday we went up to the Cabrits and to Portsmouth area. So, you know, we're having a little bit of action, but for the most part, it's just going to be about relaxation, rejuvenation, and reconnecting to who I am.
And that's what it is all about for you.
Yes.
Returning to Dominica. Well, I'm happy he agreed to come back, and your daughter is here with you as well.
Yes.
So tell me about her.
Yes, well, you know, unfortunately, the week before we came, we always have a story in my
Oh
family.
my
Let me tell you, we
goodness.
always have a story. The week before we came, she fractured her leg. Always a story. so she's been hobbling around on crutches, and we also got her a knee roller so she can navigate. So imagine for Diana
So Simone,
going to the Cabrits yesterday with a 10-year-old on a knee roller. So what we had to resort to doing was having her father and the bus driver have her sit on the knee roller and pull her up the hills. I'll show you the pictures.
So Simone, the child was here when she was 2 years old.
Yes.
And you all get in the line of Liat and the pilots go on strike.
Yes.
You're getting ready to come to Dominica, a call, and she fractures her leg.
And she fractures her leg the week before we come to Dominica.
This is incredible.
Yeah, so hopefully the next time she comes, she's going to just have a blast because we will have no problems, there'll be no situations, and she'll simply be able to enjoy Dominica.
Okay.
But we're making the best out of it. We're making the best out of
But
it.
how is she as a
She is
daughter?
wonderful. She's kind. She is very creative, very artistic. She likes to paint. She likes to draw. She likes to dance. She likes design. So I think, you know, we just want to encourage her. It seems like she's already found her passion. So we want to make sure we encourage her to pursue what makes her happy.
That's correct.
Yeah, but she's a wonderful child.
That's correct.
Yes.
So your last name is interesting. It says Matthew. So we would think Mathehew or Matthew. It spells differently.
Right.
It's MathieU.
Yes.
Tell us.
Yes, so my husband is Haitian American.
Ah.
Yes, he's born in New York, but his parents are from Haiti. And I have to tell you, for Diana, the cultures are incredibly the same value system, the same value for education, hard work, you know, dedication to being of good faith, being good Christian people. So, and of course the food, our food is pretty much the same. So, you know, I think that is one of the things that kind of brought us together. The fact that in many ways, Haitian people are a lot like us. And they have embraced me, they have welcomed me. And I think the Creole language also helps because if you're from the town in Haiti, the city, I can understand the Creole. If you're from the countryside, it's a whole other ball game. But they have completely embraced me. I've been with my husband now for 17 years.
17
And
years.
it has been an incredible experience. And one of the reasons in my program and I'm trying to learn more Creole is because my daughter has two Creole parents. So I think it is important in terms of passing on our culture to her that she learns to speak Creole, although she will grow up in America, right? So, it's just been an incredible journey being a part of a Haitian American family.
Have you been to Haiti?
No, unfortunately not. Unfortunately not. My husband has been here before. He actually went to Ross University, so he's a graduate of Ross, and we went to Portsmouth yesterday to visit the area, and I have to tell you, it was difficult for him. Mm-hmm. It was difficult for him to see what the apartment buildings now look like, to find out that the landlord, Mr. Teet, who he spent a lot of time, my husband loves to cook, so I spent a lot of time cooking and just having great conversations, is no longer in Dominica because his business is no longer in existence. So he has since relocated back to England. Mm-hmm. So, it was a sad moment to drive through Portsmouth and just see how much energy there used to be in the area. Mm-hmm. And now it is very, very quiet. Yeah.
Let your husband know that we're happy to welcome him to...
Well, he actually left today. He has to go back to work. He could only stay 1 week. He has to go back to work.
Oh my goodness.
But we will be here for 2 more weeks.
You'll be here for 2 more weeks.
Yes, okay. We'll be enjoying it.
Coming to Dominica, did you go through the Miami route?
Yes. Yes. Really, really smooth. Very smooth. So we went from Atlanta to Miami and then 4 hours from Miami to Dominica. And I think it's a great idea. Mm-hmm. How seamless you can go from Atlanta and the other major cities to get into Dominica, and we got here by 2:30.
You got to Dominica by 2:30?
Yes.
From traveling from what time?
We left Atlanta at about 7 a.m. Mm-hmm. So that's not bad at all.
Not bad.
That's not bad at all.
And there wouldn't be much jet lag.
No.
Because what we went through before.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So that's a good thing.
Yes.
I mean, ideally we would love to have the international airport. Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, I always say to people, once there is something put in place to make life a little easier for me. I went to Miami in February, and that was just, I left up, I didn't have to get up early in my bed to go to the airport. The flight was like around 3 hours and 20 or 40 minutes, whatever it was. I was in Miami by what time in the evening, and I was fine. I could even go all that night if I wanted to.
Absolutely. So we pretty much had the rest of Tuesday, which is, it adds up when you're on vacation time.
That's good. That's good. Simone. All right. So you are in Dominica on vacation, but what else do you plan on doing while you're here outside, other than just having a little good old rest, some rest and relaxation, and some exploring?
Yes, and even before we get into the conversation, for Diane, I didn't have an opportunity to say good evening to the audience.
Oh, you did not?
I want to mind my manners because in Dominica we're very respectable people. So I want to say good evening to the Q95 listeners and everyone who's watching us on Facebook via Q95 FM radio, as well as your spotlighters. I want to say good evening to them, and of course I cannot forget my Push Past 10 crew on Facebook and YouTube, and a special good evening to Miss Carla Amor, who is watching and listening. Carla, thank you so much for telling me to move the spray bottle.
Is that what happened?
Yes. The spray bottle was right here, and she said, "So can you please move the spray bottle? It doesn't look good."
I will tell you what she told me it looks like. I don't know if she said
yes, she said it. So Miss Carla, I'm on everyone who's listening.
Omar, I see Omar just said good evening. Good evening, Omar.
Good evening to everyone.
Both our good friends.
Yes, everyone who's listening, and of course, good evening, Mr. G and the Q95 family. And it is wonderful to be home. It's wonderful to be in the studios of Q95 again.
All right, so we were talking about, so outside of getting some rest and relaxation and a little bit of exploration, what are you going to be doing otherwise during your time?
Yes, so the interesting thing about it is most people don't know that I'm introverted, right? Because people see you on social media, they hear you on the radio. I actually do 2 radio programs, and they think you're this outspoken and extroverted person. But at my core, I'm a very introverted person. So what does that mean? I think people associate being introverted with being shy, with being recluse, and that's not what it is. being introverted simply means that I like to spend a lot of time with my own thoughts. So my favorite place to be in the world, besides my mother's porch drinking coffee, is in my own head.
Mm-hmm.
So during this time, other than my Roots Connections program next week and whatever else might come up, I'm just going to spend time in reflection. And I am a huge fan. My motto is, what is the universe saying to you? Where is the universe directing you? So I'm just going to be still, and I'm just going to wait for what the universe is telling me, what direction, what next for Simone, Mathieu. So that is the plan.
That is the
to
plan.
be still, reflect, and just let the universe
I leave it to you. But let's something we realized when we did the promotions for the program is that there's a few people who do not seem to know you, who do not seem to know who you are. So we're going to get a bit of getting to know you,
Yes.
and then we'll get into as well some of the things that you're doing on social media. Because if there's one thing, and we agreed this evening, hey folks, from the moment Simone did not even message me to tell me she was coming to Dominica, she messaged me on internet.
I wanted to know what internet service.
Yes, you know, and so I said, I picked up, hey, she must be coming to Dominica. And I said, you need to come on In the Spotlight.
Yes, and thank you for the invitation.
You are most welcome. And I think, you know, we need to do a little bit more of that. Supporting each other, promoting each other. Not because Simone does programs or a program that it means, oh, I told her, no.
Yes.
We're going to help each other and push each other. I just said to her, you know what? There are some people who reach out to me from overseas, and I don't do the live online thing, but that is what may work for them. And we're going to start collaborating a little more, partnering a little more, and sharing a little more, so that, you know, it's people we want to benefit. Who wins? You know, we want people to win. And so, you know, I was so happy when she said to me that she confirmed that she was coming to Dominica, and that we were going to invite her to In the Spotlight. And one of the things that I want to do, I wanted to get some of my fans tonight. I wanted to get some of my viewers. I wanted to get some of my listeners as well. And what she did today, or program we did some time ago, she pinned it to the top of her page. I mean, that is what we need. It's collaboration.
And mind you, your video had already gotten, I think, close to 5,000 views.
Yes.
Right? So why not pin it to the top, so let people know that this is for Diana Frampton, in case you might, for whatever reason, you don't know who for Diana Frampton is, which is kind of impossible.
Yes.
But it's about collaboration. And of course, later in the program, we'll also talk about walking in the spirits of abundance. Because I think for too many of us, that we think there's a spirit of scarcity that exists within us, that we're so afraid that if a diner is successful, somehow it takes away from my success.
Not at all.
And we have to get beyond that. We have to start thinking that there's so much success and so many opportunities in the world, that if a diner is successful, there's like a river of opportunities and success waiting for me. So don't worry about Fadina. She got her thing. Do your thing.
Do your thing.
Yes.
Just make sure when you do your thing, you do your thing well.
Yes.
You do it right.
Yes.
You market it right.
Yes.
And you know, you get your share
Absolutely.
of whatever is there to be gotten.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Let's move away from that spirit of scarcity
No.
to a spirit of abundance.
That's
Yes. So back to the question.
Yes.
So anyway, before Simone Mathieu, I was Simone Stenhouse. Many people know me, and as a matter of fact, I just posted a picture holding the drum that my father, William Stenhouse, used to play at the cathedral, because a lot of people will not necessarily know my dad, but the drumming on the Souffle Mutai song, Souffle Mutai chorale, the drumming you hear are the hands of my father. And the background singing that you hear is the voice of my father. And that is so special to us, because unfortunately he passed about 19 years ago. So to have that as a memory, as a way to remember him is very precious to us. So I grew up in Baptist, very proud to be from the working class community of Baptist. I grew up in Baptist where we were very neighborly. Right? So we're talking about walking each other to school, the older kids would walk the younger kids to school. I'm talking about Community Day of Service was a big deal. Everybody chipped in and got the work done. I'm talking about growing up with very little money and my mother feeding, listen up, my mother feeding 9 mouse in our home. And for Diana, listen to this. I had to confirm this with my mother today because I just couldn't believe it. 9 mouse in the household and 9 neighbors.
What?
Every day.
9 neighbors?
Our 6 neighbors on one side, and then she reminded me, oh yes, and don't forget I used to feed the 3 on the other side. Every day.
So
and I
18
said to her, Mom, but we had such little money. How were you even able to do this every day? She looked at me and she pointed up
to the heavens. It was God.
She said, I didn't do it, Simone. There was a higher power that did this. And she did it every day for maybe about, I want to say 15 years. Yes, so that is the Baptist I grew up in, very working class community, but very neighborly. People looked out for each other and people supported each other, and that is the place that I grew up in. If you want to know about my parents?
Yes, definitely. I was going to ask though, how is it different today?
Yeah.
Compared to
well,
when your mother...
Right. For 18 people every day, right?
Yes.
Well, because I don't live in Baptist, I cannot presume to know what it is like growing up there. But all I can say is I was recently on a transport coming from Baptist, and the driver was telling me that they are now a gang in Baptist. There's some, I don't want to call any name, but there's some street gang of boys that are not doing the right things. So I'm assuming that somehow, at least portions of it, has taken a turn for the worse. But I'm sure that those values, the same way that they exist all over Dominica, I am sure at the core, because I think at the core, we are good people. We are good and caring people. I cannot tell you how many places I go into and people are just so warm and friendly. We went to... what's his name? Sean Douglas's ice cream place. When we were in Portsmouth, we had to visit. And unfortunately, my daughter dropped her ice cream. And the young lady was like, oh, sweetie, don't worry about it. I'll give you another ice cream. Oh. You know, so at the core, we are good people for Dinah. And that is what I want to hold on to. So unfortunately, there may be some bad elements in Baptist right now, but I still think that if we look close enough, we will find those Medina Sen houses of Baptist State and all the communities in Dominica.
Sadly, the most recent murder on the Bayfront was someone from that community.
Yes.
And so, I mean, it happens everywhere, but we're just talking about your particular community where you grew up this evening. But it's sad, and we've had, I think, I heard, if I'm not mistaken, 10 murders so far for the year. I don't know if that's a record for that period of time.
I believe it might be.
But it's not good. It's not good, and something has to be done.
Absolutely.
Something has to be done.
More than just talking about it. Absolutely.
So let's talk about mommy. So tell us about Medina.
Yes, Medina Sen House is listening to us right now.
Hello, Medina.
The hardest working woman I have ever met, most compassionate, most forgiving, most religious. As a matter of fact, she always says, you know, the Pope can leave the Catholic Church, she ain't going nowhere. So that tells you how incredibly strong her faith is. And, you know, my mom grew up in the village of Dubla. And, you know, unfortunately, her dad passed before she was born, and her mom died when she was only 11. So she was made orphan at a very young age, but she always reminds us of the memories of her mother. Her mother's name was Viola, and her mother gave birth to, I believe, at least 8 or 9 children, and she always reminds us of how my grandmother was 9 months pregnant, and she would be lifting these big baskets of produce to put on her head to go sell because she had to do what she had to do to support her family. So it's a funny thing we have in our family where, if we see any of us exhibiting signs of strength, we look at each other and we say, Zafa Viola, because, we know where the strength comes from. And that is just one of our ancestors, right, that we know of. So we think of all the others who went through slavery and what they went through to be like Viola, to be that strong, determined woman, and who at 9 months was still carrying the load on her head to be able to support her children. She was not married. My aunts and uncles have a few different dads, but she did what she had to do, like so many women in Dominica, then and
Back
now.
then in particular.
Then and
well,
now,
now too.
doing what they have to do, even without, a husband in the home. And we're grateful when we have complete families, but sometimes, unfortunately, it's not the case. But we still rise up every day, find the energy, and we move forward.
What about Mr. Senhouse?
Now, my dad was of European heritage and Kalinago heritage. So my dad descends, the last name Senhouse actually comes from Britain, right? So my dad descends from the British who came to this country on behalf of the crown, right? So they were sent. So they were sent to represent the crown in Dominica, Barbados, and Trinidad. So you'll find the last name Senhouse there. And as a matter of fact, there is a Senhouse museum in England. And I would love to be able to I have 2 nephews, Neil and Eric. I believe they're listening out in New Rochelle with Wayne and Sabria. And my daughter, Sophia, I'd love to take them one day to the Senhouse Museum in Britain. So that's my father's side of the family. And my grandmother on my father's side was a Kalinago woman, right? So I like to think of myself as 100% Creole. because I think of it, all the beautiful tribes of Africans that make us Dominicans, the Africans, the Kalinago people. Most of us have Kalinago blood. And some of us even have the French and the British blood. So that makes us a beautiful blend of Creole people. And look what we did for Dinah, right? We took all these cultures, especially the African culture, because African and Kalinago, because think of how much we were stripped, figuratively and literally. They stripped us of everything. And look what we created for Dinah. Look at the beautiful culture, the beautiful music, the beautiful cuisine, the beautiful dress, the beautiful music that we created. So it just speaks to the strength of the spirit of us as Dominican people.
And that's where you sit tonight.
Yes.
That's how you feel tonight.
And that is why I tell you, I come back to reconnect. Because I have a lot to reconnect to. But that was my dad, and he was fortunate enough in the 50s to attend St. Mary's Academy, which was, back then it wasn't that usual for people to go to high school. So he went to St. Mary's Academy. He was a brilliant musician. So he taught himself to play several instruments, the drums, the guitar, the flute. So he was very musically inclined, but unfortunately for Dinah, he was plagued with the disease of alcoholism.
Oh.
Yes, so unfortunately he was a chronic alcoholic, and unfortunately that took away a lot of his potential. Yeah, so those are my parents, and I'm very proud.
Of course, you ought to be.
Of the people that I come from, and what we've been able to build on our ancestry.
Any one of you took the musical talent of your dad?
Yes, well, I think it skipped me. But
you were destined for other things.
Yes. But both of my nephews, Neil and Eric, are musically inclined, and Sophia plays the piano.
Your daughter?
Yes, she plays the piano.
Awesome. Well, just keep curious.
Yeah, but I think part of it too is opportunity, because unfortunately, we grew up with very little money, so my mom didn't have the money to pay for lessons of any kind. And not only did we grow up, my brother and I, with my parents, but my mother's an incredible woman. She raised 5 of my cousins. You know, it was back in the day for Dinah when people didn't have much of a choice. What you did is one person stayed home to take care of the children, and whoever could migrate overseas. So I had one aunt who went to Guadeloupe, Auntie Beverly. Bernard, I know you're listening. Good evening to you. She went to Guadeloupe to take care of the family, and then my aunt, Auntie Ziska, went to New York and left 2 of her kids. Auntie Beverly left 3 of her kids, and we had to, because when you have a dad who's an alcoholic, what happens is people wait until it's payday. He goes into a rum shop. When he gets drunk, his money is stolen, right? So think of it this way: there are 9 of us.
9
living in the house, right?
Was it
7?
Your parents and 7 children?
Yes, so
Okay.
7 with my parents, my brother, and I, and 5 cousins.
5 cousins?
Yes.
So wait, so your parents only had 2 of
2
you?
children. My parents had 2 children.
And you all took in 5 cousins?
My mother took in
Your
5.
mother.
Yes, bless that lady. Bless her, Lord. We are so grateful.
I hope
She's still with us
I
today.
hope she's sitting very
Yes.
comfortable.
Oh.
And having a good
But
life.
let me tell you about my mother's life. My mother spends 6 months in New York, right? When it's the summertime, and as soon as it starts getting cold,
She's gone.
She's like, "Oh, Simone, I was thinking it's time to come and see Sophie." I said, "Really? It's time to go and see Sophie or the Fuedi?" The Fuedi's starting in New York, so you want to come Georgia? So we make sure that, and we're so blessed to have her. Yeah, so, you know, at the rum shop, they would steal my dad's money, knowing. Because Dominica's a small place. Everybody knows everybody's
Yeah, 7
situation.
children to
9 of us to feed. And that is why I'm telling you, I had to ask my mom, how did you feed all these people? When many times my dad would come home with no salary. Right? So it's funny because when you're growing up as a child, you kind of make connections. So I always thought to myself, when I started learning about the different ministries, I would think my aunt in Guadeloupe is the minister. No, my mom in Dominica was the minister of home affairs. And she took care of the home. My aunt in Guadeloupe, Auntie Beverly, was the minister of internal affairs because she sent the food, the barrels, right? And my aunt in Guadeloupe was the minister of external affairs because she would send money to pay the bills and whatever else we need. And my dad, he was the minister without portfolio.
No portfolio whatsoever. But it's good, Simone.
But we loved him. We loved him.
It's your dad.
It's my dad.
It's your dad.
Yeah.
You know, it's good that your aunts
Yes.
were able to support.
Yes.
Clearly, that's part of how your mother was able
Yes.
to do it.
Yes.
With the support of her sisters,
Yes.
you know, who would send the boxes and the
Yes.
barrels and a little money
Yes.
occasionally. And that would definitely have helped the situation. It's unfortunate, though, that people would be
Yes.
so inconsiderate, knowing that a gentleman has a family, knowing that he has a problem,
Yes.
and not help. If you want to take his money, take it, but bring it for his wife.
Thank you.
You understand? Take it, bring it for his wife, but not steal his money
Oh, yes.
or sell him all the alcohol in the
Oh,
world.
yes. Oh, yes.
And so maybe he would find somewhere else, but at least, you know, say, what was your daddy's name?
Oh, William.
William, c'est le pour aller à Caillou.
Yes. Yes.
You understand?
Yeah, and you know, speaking of which, I truly have to be grateful for to HHB Wick Church because my dad worked there for like over 20 years, and you know, they knew he had a family. And despite being an alcoholic, they would give him chance over chance over chance over chance. And I so want to say thank you to Mr. Ed at HHB Wick Church because I don't think another employer would have been as compassionate and as kind. But he knew my dad had a family to support. So despite, you know, everything my father was going through, he kept him on board until he could no longer. He just got to the point where he said, you know what, I've tried for 20 years and unfortunately we can no longer keep you employed, so he was terminated.
Did you and even your brother, by extension, understand what was happening with your father?
Well, I think as a young child you don't understand, but what it does is it makes you a very anxious person, right? So because you never know, is he going to come home drunk today? Is he going to come home sober today? Am I going to be able to sleep tonight? Is he going to be causing ruckus in the neighborhood all night?
So he did that?
Yes, he did that. But you know the good thing about it? My father was never violent.
Okay.
So he was one of those people that had a lot of talk.
Yes.
Right. So he would get drunk and he would just, quarrel all night. And it made it very difficult, of course, for us to go to bed. But to say,
You had to go to
try
school.
yes.
Get a good night's rest.
Yes, but to talk about him being a violent person, never. And we have to find gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
Despite everything, we have to find things to be grateful for. So for that, we were grateful.
Did he live long enough, or did the alcohol?
Yeah, the alcohol did him in. So he died at the age of 56.
That's young.
Yes. Yeah, and to this day, we're not 100% sure exactly what he died from, but I think his body just had enough. He just had enough. So, and unfortunately, alcoholism runs in my dad's family. So of his 8 siblings, 4 of them were chronic alcoholics.
Oh, wow.
So we kind of made, I think it was a private vow to ourselves.
Yes.
To just not be the next set of victims. Mm-hmm. So knock on wood, this generation of our family so far, no one has gotten on that path. And we don't really consume alcohol because of that. Mm-hmm. Occasionally, if there's a special occasion, something to celebrate, but on a regular weekend, we don't mess with that.
What's the lesson from this for you as a child and even growing up as an adult and looking back at that particular experience? So what's the lesson for you, one? And what would be the advice or encouragement to a family who may be dealing with a similar situation? Because as we speak, there may be some wife who is listening and is dealing with a situation like that. What would be?
Yeah, so I think the lesson for me was it taught me a lot of control, because what we had at home was this dichotomy where on the one end, my father was this dysfunctional alcoholic, and on the other end, my mother was extremely strict. She had to be. She had to overcompensate for the negative. So by overcompensating, she kept us in a very tight leash, right? Our boundary was the front gates, right? I'm shocked to this day I still have friends because I was not allowed to go to anybody's home. So my friends always had to come to play with me because I was not allowed beyond the gate. So because she knew how dysfunctional, she kept us in church, she kept us in school, she kept us very engaged to ensure, because we could have gone any direction, and none of us, praise God, none of us went the dysfunctional route because of the strength of my mother, right? So I think the lesson in it is, if you're in that situation where you have somebody who's on drugs, you have somebody who's an alcoholic, you certainly want to be that rock for your children, and more importantly, get help. But as far as I know, in Dominica, there's no help. But at least with my mom, she was able to lean on the church. So if you're part of a religious group, you're part of a church, you're part of any sort of network, lean on them for comfort, because again, unfortunately, we don't have formalized counseling, formalized treatment centers in Dominica. Yeah.
And how is your brother?
Oh, he's fantastic. He's fantastic. He's loving life. He's in the New Rochelle area. He's married to, she used to be Sabria Ali, but now she's Sabria Senhouse. They've been together, Lord help me, maybe 25 years, long time. And they have 2 wonderful sons, and they're doing just very well. Yeah, so we're very grateful that all 7 of us turned out well.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I guess with the strength
yes,
of your mom.
Mother.
Yes, the strength of your mom, for sure. So you've given us a sense, Simone, of what it was like, growing up in your household, more intimately, and we appreciate you sharing. And again, these programs that we do, because you also do that kind of thing from your end as well. These programs that we do are meant in some way or the other to help, to help someone else, to inspire someone else, to motivate someone else. And I do hope that from that personal element of your life that you just shared with us, that somebody's listening and they can pick something out from what you shared in terms of the lesson and the suggestions as to what can be done, to see how they can get some help in terms of dealing with their own personal situation. So thank you for that. But give us a wider view of what it was like growing up in Bath State.
Yeah, well, actually, if you don't mind, I want to talk about school.
Yes, sure.
Because that was a very interesting experience for me. Right, so school, I went to St. Martin's School, very proud graduate of St. Martin's School, and there are two significant things that happened while I was there that very much impacted my life and made me into the person that I am today. So I went from grade, you put the average kids in the twos, right? I'm not sure if that's how it's still done, but if you're very smart, they put you in like 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, 4-1. So I was always a very, very average student. So I went from 1-2 to 2-2 to 3-2 to 4-2 to 5-2. And then in grade 5, I met the teacher who changed my life.
Grade 5?
Grade 5 at the St. Martin's School. Miss Annette Williams. To this day, I will never forget her. I can still remember her for Dinah, this beautiful Dominican woman, long flowing hair, immaculately dressed every day with her white blouses and her pencil skirts tucked in. And she was just, a sight to behold. She was so beautiful. And for Dinah, I have to tell you, this teacher never said a word of encouragement to me. You know what she did? She made me feel special. Because back in those days, and I don't know if it still applies today, when a teacher favored you, she would give you a little task to do. So if you got to...
You'd almost be like this, they would say the teacher's
pet. That's what we call it today. That's what we call it today. So she would send me to get her water, right? Up in the tap. I don't know if you know the layout of St. Martin's School, but the pipe is all the way up and the glasses are down. Send me to get her water. When she wanted to clean the board, she would ask me to erase the board. There was a little bookcase. She'd say, "Oh, Simone, clean the bookcase for me." If she was doing an example, let's say, I clearly remember this, Vidina. She was doing an example, teaching us long, longer, and longest. She had me and two other girls stand up, right? The first girl, her hair was long. Simone's hair was longer. And then Belinda, I remember Belinda's name. Her hair was the longest. So those little things for Dinah made me feel so special, right? And what do you do when somebody takes an interest in you? You don't want to disappoint them. So what did that do for me? It made me want to have great grades, because I'm thinking to myself, wow, Miss Williams has taken such an interest in me. I don't want to disappoint her. So because of Miss Williams, I started studying. My mother had 7 kids for Dinah. She doesn't have the and she's trying to keep us alive, literally.
She's trying to feed you.
She doesn't have time to be concerned about our homework. We have to do this on our own. Miss Williams, Annette Williams, I finally had an opportunity about 8 years ago when I was last here to find her phone number. For Dinah, she doesn't remember me, but that's not the point. That's okay. She had so many students.
Yes.
And she was probably so wonderful to so many. Doesn't matter that she doesn't remember me. I remember her. And I told her, Miss Williams, you don't know what you did for me. Thank you so much. For the very first time, I realized I could learn. I was smart. So because of her, I went from grade 5-1 to grade 6-1 and grade 7-1. So it kind of speaks to what actions are we putting out into the world? Because sometimes even when we don't say a word, we are impacting people's lives. Our actions are impacting people's lives. So because of her, I started to gain all this interest in learning, in being a good student. The second incident for Dinah, not a great one.
No.
Not a great one. Grade 7 one, right?
Common entrance.
Mind you, common entrance.
Class, yes.
5 of the kids in the house have already gone through common entrance and failed.
And failed. So from the
5.
7.
Yes. 5 have already gone through common entrance and nobody passed. Here comes Simone, grade 7 one. Studied my little tail off. I got a pass.
You got a
Because
pass.
you know, pass, bursary, scholarship. That's the structure. So I didn't care. I was happy. I got a pass. Got accepted to convent high school.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
With your
Simone
pass.
is going into convent high school.
Yes.
Imagine for that. I was so excited. Remember, we don't have a lot of money. Every time my mother would get a little bit of money, she would buy a different part of my uniform. But then, can I tell you?
Tell me.
I tried on every part of the uniform my mother would buy. So today she bought the skirt, I put on the skirt. Tomorrow she bought the shirt, I put on the skirt and the shirt. Next week she bought the tie, I put on the skirt, the shirt and the tie. Until I had the whole uniform together. And I stood in the mirror and I was so excited because I was going to convent high school, right? Okay, all well and good. We have to go back to St. Martin's School to get my documents to take over to convent school. Here comes my 7th grade teacher who will remain nameless.
Nameless.
She's
We're
still
not
around
calling
in
her
Dominica. I see her every year. I come to Dominica, including this year. Went to St. Martin's School, got the documents. We're on our way out to go back to convent. She looks at my mom. I'm standing right there as an 11-year-old. She looks at my mom for Dinah and she tells my mom, do not send Simone to convent.
Why?
I kid you not, her exact words. Do not send Simone to convent. She is not smart enough.
I was
But
waiting
Dinah,
for the follow-up, the rest of the
Dinah,
line.
This is a teacher. This is someone who's supposed to be my cheerleader.
Yes.
This is someone who's supposed to be telling me, you can be anything you want to be, Simone. She is standing there, no consideration that I'm standing right there with my mother. And she tells my mom, adamantly, do not send Simone to convent high school. Can you imagine what that
I
does
can't.
to the spirit of an 11-year-old child?
And
Right?
you remember that.
And I remember that like it was yesterday. I can tell you exactly where in St. Martin's School she was standing. And do you know, I will not mention the name of the school that she told my mother to send me, because you know what? Every school in Dominica has created incredible professionals and incredible Dominicans. So I will not
Great
even
Dominicans.
venture to mention which school she told my mother to send me instead. But she told my mother it would be a mistake
To send you to convent
to
high
send
school.
me to convent high school.
Because
I'm
you're
not that smart.
intelligent enough.
So what did that do for that? And that's the thing. So you see how it all adds up? So here you are. Some people, their actions can impact you. Some people, their words can impact you. So you have to be so strong in who you are, what you want.
What was your mother's reaction to
My
that?
mother said she's going to convent high school. And she walked away. There was no conversation after that. She simply said, okay, she's going to convent high school. And that was the end of the conversation. And that drove me, Vadina. That created a fire in my belly, right? It's one of those things where somebody tells you no, and you think to yourself, watch me.
You know what, Simone? Maybe it was a good
Sad.
thing.
Yes.
Maybe flip it.
You have
Let's
to
flip
flip it that
it
way. You have
and
to
say,
flip it
you know
that way.
what? You just give me the fire
Yes.
to go
Yes.
and learn and show that I'm bright, I'm
Yes.
intelligent, and I can be anything that I want to be.
And for the 5 years I was at convent, I came up top 5 of every class.
I believe you.
Beating girls who had gotten scholarships.
Of course.
Because that one teacher said I couldn't do it. I would fail. I would not be able to last at the convent high school. So I think from a very early age, I learned the power of no, right? So you can either let no deter you, hold you back, prevent you from pursuing your purpose, or you can use no and flip it on its head, like you just said, and say, you know what, watch me. Because I'm going to take, and you know the funny thing about it, Padina, I saw her recently, and I could speak to her and say, you know what? Because think of how many other students she may have done that to Padina. And I thought to myself, well, what's the purpose? What's the point?
Yeah.
What are you trying? And chances are she doesn't even remember saying that to
But
me.
that's what I was going to ask you. Do you think she remembers?
I doubt it. I doubt it.
Oh gosh, you need to remind her.
I know. What's the purpose? No, there's no purpose in reminding
Want to
her.
prove her wrong?
I saw her and I was forced enough to say something to her, and I said, no, the lesson has been learned. It's time to move on. What is the point of rehashing this? So she can say, oh, I never said that. Oh, that's not true. I would never say that to us. No, you take the lesson and you move on.
How were the 5 years at convent?
Oh, wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. To this day, my core friends have come from the St. Martin's School. So Gina Leighton, Gilda Nesty, Tabitha Andre, all my core friends since I was 13 years old have come from Convent High School.
Starting from St. Martin?
Yes. No, from Convent.
Okay,
Yeah,
you said St. Martin.
No,
from Convent.
From Convent. So it was a very good experience for me. Of course, I learned and also got a chance to be a member of the netball team. So it was always very active and just all in all, a very positive experience. And I think attending an all-girls school was a good experience for me because, coming from the situation that I came from, I lacked confidence. I lacked confidence. So not having the distraction of boys in the classroom, I think it made me a lot more confident in who I was and what I could accomplish. So by the time we got to Sifokol, which was the first time we encountered guys in a classroom, it was nothing. It didn't impact me. It wasn't a distraction. It wasn't anything because I was so accustomed to working hard and to excelling. So I think it was a great experience, and I'm happy that we still have, girls' schools where girls can just focus on education with uniforms, no makeup, no. I think that's important.
That's important.
I think that's important.
So Convent High School, and then you mentioned Sifokol, which is where we met.
Yes,
I was over at grammar school with the boys. I enjoyed my time with the boys. There could be distractions at times, because there were a couple good-looking ones, and we remained in the same class with the same group all through. So we started with 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, 1-4,
right?
5, 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, 4. So the entire group remained together until fifth form. So for us, it wasn't even about the boys. It was just,
That's how I became accustomed to it.
That was it. That was it. And you were concerned about boyfriend and girlfriend. Okay, yes, you like to see this one, but whatever the case might be. So that's where we went to. We went to Sifokol at the time. Sifokol, boy, at the time.
That was the days.
Yes, and when I decided to sit on the other side of the mic, I would give an experience of a teacher who did something similar to me.
Yes, I truly hope we all have that one teacher that we can say, wow.
No, it wasn't a wow for me this one though.
Yes. And we have to acknowledge the people on Facebook, but I see we have over 100 people watching the live, so thank you so much everyone for being here. I think I'm watching in the spotlight. So thank you guys for being here. Over 100 people are on the live right now.
Yes,
so
just saying hi to Simeon Joseph is
Simeon.
always tuned in.
Oh, yes.
And he supports us. This is a gentleman who he's tuned into you, he's tuned into me. What I like about Simeon, I'm not straying a bit, probably giving you an opportunity to take a sip of water if you wish. Simeon is a very objective person. He's a very frank person.
Absolutely.
If he feels that, something is probably not being done the right way, his way may not necessarily be the right way, but I'm saying if he feels that something is not being done the right way, he'll tell you. And he will tell it to you respectfully. He will not come and try to trample on you, but for Diana, so you don't know it's so that's supposed to be done there, or whatever, you know.
He's one of those people. If you don't want the honest truth, don't ask him.
Don't ask him.
Yes.
And I appreciate that about
me
Simone.
too.
And Simone is a very intelligent man, and I think that sometimes we have to recognize the intelligent people amongst us. Very, very intelligent gentleman, and quite a few of the people. I mean, we all have our intelligence in our own way, but there are those you've experienced, and you experience their level of intelligence. And Simone is one of those persons. And Simone, we appreciate you. I mean, Simone started in the spotlight with a bang. This year, he was my very first guest. And I think he's one of the programs which will never be forgotten. So yes, we're happy to have those of you who are joining us via radio, Q95 itself, and those of you who are actually on the Facebook Live. We do appreciate you joining us as well. Simone, we're just going to take a quick break and have a sip of water, and we're coming right back. This is the In the Spotlight radio show. We thank all those of you who are tuned in with us this evening. We want to acknowledge Q95, Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited, Callaloo House. So by the way, I heard from Steve. He appears to be a bit exhausted, but he's taking care of us. So thank you, Steve, and the folks at Callaloo House and the Great Old House. We want to thank Flo Dominica. We want to thank Dominica News Online, Hakim Lowe, Jordan Jerome, and you, the viewers, the listeners, the fans of the program. We do appreciate you. As I said earlier on, this Saturday, for those of you who may have tuned in just a little late when we did the introduction of the program, this Saturday, the 18th day of June, I think it is, we are going live. We're premiering the recorded version of the In the Spotlight radio show, which is being done only for social media. So only for social media. This bit will not be on radio. It's much shorter. It's 45 minutes to an hour, and it's just chatting with people who are probably not able to be on the program for whatever reason on a Monday night. Probably they're traveling or here for a short period of time. Somebody who may be homebound and cannot make it to the studio. So it's going to be a little different from what we do here on a Monday night. Absolutely different from a Monday night. It's going to air on a Saturday on YouTube and Facebook only. So look out for that beginning this Saturday on the page, the In the Spotlight Radio Show page, or on the YouTube channel, your choice. And we're inviting you to follow the In the Spotlight Radio Show page. Go on your phone now, search for it if you're listening via radio, and follow the page, or go to Fidina F. Frampton on YouTube and subscribe to our channel so that you can get to view these special programs. We'll announce the guest for the very first one by Thursday of this week. And as I mentioned before, a few folks are coming on board, not with no major money or financial contribution per se, but supported in a way that at least we can take care of a couple of the expenses of the social media version. And we're calling it In the Spotlight TV. So it's going to be an In the Spotlight limited series. We're doing the first 6 programs. It's going to be 8 o'clock on a Saturday. And we thank you for your participation in the voting, the polls that we did on social media, asking you to assist us with selecting a name and selecting the day and time. And as I indicated, majority counted, or majority counts, majority rules. So I went with the majority. Whether I had, the thought of something else. So for example, I think a few people very close behind In the Spotlight TV was In the Spotlight highlights, but we'll settle for In the Spotlight TV. TV doesn't necessarily have to be on TV, and once it takes the form of a video, it's basically falls in the realm of TV. So my friend Dennis said, don't overdo it, Fidina. Don't overcomplicate it. It's very simple. Just call it In the Spotlight TV. I put it out there, and you came up with your with the majority. A few companies, as I said, have come on board, not really benefiting in a huge way. From this, it's really just to help with some of the expenses, and we want to thank you. ICWI, JD's Naturals, Flo Dominica, We Forward the Freight Master, Deepex, Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited, Media Links, Callaloo House, and I want to say that I just got an email tonight from Finance Focus. So Finance Focus is joining us for, yes, good evening to you, Luana. Thank you so much for coming on board as well, and participating. Most of those I just mentioned, at the beginning of the show, at the end, you give a little mention, and so we make a small contribution and we get things rolling. First time around, just try to see how we can again act upon suggestions and recommendations by fans and viewers and supporters of the show. Thank you so much, guys. So we're just going to take just this quick break, and we're coming back and continuing our conversation with Dr. Simone Mathieu. Keep it locked.
In the spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominican life, spotlighting their triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of our people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our farmers, our public servants, youth, and the ordinary Dominican. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the spotlight will also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight.
And just before we go back to Dr. Mathieu, I just want to say hello to my friend, my bon Jean, Father Peter Hill. And Father Hill is actually celebrating his 14th anniversary of priesthood. So Father Hill is actually on island. I'm not sure for how long, but Father Hill, you know the vibe already. That's my dude, that's my friend. Happy 14th anniversary of priesthood. And Father Hill was actually the second or third guest of the In the Spotlight radio show. And he was awesome then. And Father Hill, we need to do a follow-up. Whether a shortened version or something, we need to do a follow-up. But I just want you to know that I am very happy that you're celebrating your 14th anniversary. And I wish you continued success in your priesthood journey. Dr. Simone Mathieu, we're back, and we have to take it now from, you've ended up in the States, so you live in the United States of America.
Right.
As to how you got there, we will get to that. But after sixth form college, did you go into the working world?
Well, so after sixth form college, and this speaks to surrounding yourself with the right people for Dinah, because once civil call was over, the next step, everybody was looking for opportunities to go overseas to study.
Yes.
So of course, I want to go overseas to study too.
Yes. You know the story.
I know the story.
I know
and if you want to know the story, you can check out Fadina's interview.
Jesus.
Yes, so of course, because I always surrounded myself, and I see Dr. Gilda Nestes on the Facebook Live. So Gilda, thank you for being a dear friend. Lady. We've been friends for 34 years and counting. We just aged ourselves. So thank you for being a dear friend. Of course, Tabitha and Gina as well. Those are like I call them my sister friends.
I hope
because they're my rock.
I hope Gilda is going to be brave enough to come on with me sometime.
Yes, I've had it too for that. I've had everybody.
Yeah. So Dr. Nesty.
It's a wonderful interview.
She is.
She is. Gilda, sorry.
Oh, Dr. Nasty, Dr. Nasty.
Yes. So of course, I wanted to go overseas to study too for Dinah. And the power of no again for Dinah. The power of no.
Let me hear your story.
Yes. So of course, I started sending for brochures overseas, because I want to go overseas to study, interested in psychology, because the reason I've always been interested in psychology is because when I looked around me, and I saw, and mind you, I've always been somebody who's an observer. I just like to watch people. What motivates us? What drives us? What deters us? Right? So I've always been a people watcher, I like to call it. So I'm getting all these brochures and wanting to study psychology and come back to Dominica potentially to help people and the sort. And I always remember where the situations transpire for Dinah. So I'm sitting, we grew up in a small house, the living room and the dining room is the same area. So I'm sitting at the dining room table, looking through the brochures for Dinah. And one of the young people who grew up with me, a cousin, comes into the living room. And she says to me, hey, Simone, you watching brochures? I said, okay. Hey, Simone, you watching brochures? What you watching brochures for? I said, well, I want to go overseas to study. Her exact words for Dinah. I'm very good at remembering exact words when it negatively impacts my life. So, Simone, how are you going to go to school to study? You'll use your father's rum bottles to pay your tuition?
No.
A member of my own family, for Dinah. So I'm telling you, we have to just be so vigilant about the energies that are coming towards us. Because the negative energies can come from so many places. The detractors, those who unfortunately do not want to see you advance in life. My own cousin will remain nameless. There's no reason to put names to these people. Because the important thing is the lesson to be learned in this conversation. My own cousin.
Someone your mom cared for and provided for.
Not only cared for, we're talking about to the point where people did not know they were my cousins. People thought they were my siblings because we were all treated the same. As a matter of fact, because my father has a lighter complexion, they assumed my mom had 5 children with somebody else, and then she met my dad, married my dad, and then had me and Wayne. Because we look different.
That speaks volumes for how your
so
mother treats you.
Imagine for Dinah, this is someone, you remember back in the day, I don't know if you remember that, but we used to buy these huge yards of cloth and everybody would have the same dress. If you grew up as a girl,
me and my sister,
if you grew up as a girl in a household, I promise you, come Easter.
There's one in particular, I remember, a yellow dress with colored keys on them. Oh my God. Oh, you're bringing back some memories.
Imagine if you look at our photo albums, all the girls have the same dress. Because my mother never treated anybody differently than her own children. So nobody knew they were my cousins. They thought they were my siblings. And this girl is looking at me and she says to me, how are you going to pay for college, Simone? Are you going to use your father's rum bottles?
Now listen, if the person in question had asked you that genuinely, how are you going to pay for college?
Right.
It's one thing.
That's
But to make it's a very fair question. But to make reference to your dad and the challenge that he had, that wasn't very nice.
No.
How did you feel?
Oh, well, at that point, because I've had experiences with other people saying no to me, I went back to my old expression for Dinah, my favorite expression, watch me. Watch me. And fortunately, at that time, Midwestern State started recruiting in Dominica. So all my friends went to Midwestern State.
So they went ahead of you?
Yes, they went ahead of me because I had to stay back to work. I had to stay back to work to get my tuition together, to take a loan. And I am always grateful for yet another person in my life. And Miguel Labadis is listening. Miguel, I know you're tired of hearing me call your mother name, but I'm going to call her name again. Mrs. Labadie. She was the one who got me my very first job. After Sifilco, she met my mom. She said, oh, what is Simone doing? I know she graduated from Sifilco. My mom was like, well, she can't really find work. So she got me a job. Guess where for Dinah?
No idea.
Prime Minister office.
But you skip all the levels and you go all the way up.
She's Prime Minister office I end up with. So she temporary.
It does not matter.
So what happens?
It's a start.
Right. So in Dominica, we don't really take vacation, we take leave. When we say we're on vacation, we're gone for 2 months. So anytime somebody would go on vacation, she would call me in. And to this day, Mrs. Labadie, if you're listening, I'm so grateful for you, because she was the one who got me in the door to get a job. So if anything wasn't available at the ministry, I would go to forestry, wherever. They had a little temporary job, I would go. And then I got an opportunity to become a flight attendant with LEAC. So I worked at the credit union as well for maybe about 6 months. And then I got an opportunity to be a flight attendant with LEAC. But I told myself, I'm going to do this for 1 year. Because you have to admit it, the limelight, being a flight attendant, it's a very prestigious job. It's one of those jobs that you can get stuck in. You can get, and it's a good job. I don't want to say stuck in, because it is a good job. But I knew for myself, that is not
your final destination.
Oh, I like that. Drum roll. I'm going to take that one for Dinah. That was not my final destination, right? So I did it for 1 year. I was able to get a loan. And at this juncture, I just want to take a minute to just kind of thank the people who have been a part of my community, because it really does take a community to get us to where we're trying to get to. So, I mentioned my mom, my 2 aunts, and I have to mention my godmother, Frances Ann Sadney, who was once Francis, who was once the manager of Royal Bank. So I have to take this moment because, she was the one who really taught me what it meant to be not just a professional woman, but a professional woman, and stay humble. Because many times, as we keep climbing the ladder, our heads start to swell. I'm a flight attendant, I'm walking in my suit, it's all you get me nothing.
And your nice uniform.
And my long hair, and my nice uniform.
And your makeups, like they would say back then.
But always taught me to be professional, kind, but stay humble.
You've had some good people clearly along the way, some angels.
Oh yes. And I like to say I stand on the shoulder of the women who came before me. I have to be honest, I haven't had a lot of strong male presence in my life, but I stand on the shoulder. And that's just my experience. I'm just speaking of my experience.
It's your story.
It's my story.
Yes.
I stand on the shoulder of the women who came before me and the women who guided me along the way. Yeah, absolutely.
So you decided the flight attendant was not your final destination. Did you stick to that 1 year?
1 year.
1 year.
Absolutely.
And then you got the funds to go study?
Right. So I got the funds. I was able to secure a loan and whatever funds I had saved up to be able to go over to Midwestern State, did my degree in 3.5 years. Because, when you don't have money, when you don't have the money, you got to get it done quick. So I did my degree in 3.5 years, and then moved to New York because, of course, New York is a place you can hustle and get jobs here and jobs here until you can figure out what your career path is.
Where dreams are made of.
Oh, it is. It's like you watch Power.
Yes.
Yeah. Here, there, and everywhere because everybody's space is tight. And then again, for Dinah, I cannot overstate the importance for Dinah, the people we keep in our lives, right? So here I am, trying to get my master's degree, always interested in organizational psychology, the psychology of work, how do you treat people on the job, employee motivation, always interested in that. Started at a local college, was doing just fine. And then my friend Basilia, I see you on the line, Basi, what's up? So, very close friend of mine, and she told me, hey, I'm gonna go to Columbia University. And I'm like, why? I'm just fine where I am. At the time, Basilia worked with a temp agency, giving people temporary jobs, placements, that kind of stuff. She looked at me and she said, Simone, I'm gonna tell you this just once. When resumes come to my desk, we have one pile for Ivy League schools and everybody else is in the other pile. So which pile you want to be in?
Ivy League schools. Hey.
the power of the people we keep in our lives. So, I mean, that's a no-brainer. She's going to go to Columbia. I signed up.
Yes, of course.
So, I was able to get in, complete my master's
Oh my God.
in 2 years. So, proud graduate of Columbia University. So, I'm very proud of that. And, you know, my mom, you know, I've been trying to get her nose to go up for like many, many years. So, she was very proud of that. And then I went on to Capella University to earn my PhD.
And that
in
is why we
industrial
call
psychology.
We call you Dr. Simone Mathieu.
Yes, ma'am.
Although you don't make a big deal about it, you know.
It's, you know.
You did the video for the promo, and I said, she just said, I'm Simone Mathieu. I said, but this young lady didn't, I mean, you are what you are, Simone.
Well,
And you worked hard to get to it.
To me, it's an accomplishment, but it's not something I care to brag about. What is there to brag about? You know, I wanted to achieve the highest level of education, and that's what it is, the highest level of education. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm still Simone Mathieu. I'm still about community. I'm still about how do we get together? How do we support each other? Because when I look at all the people who supported me along the way, now I think about how we can all support each other. So, you know, graduated, had my family. You know, I have a story for you because I think a lot of times people think because my husband went to Ross, I met him in Dominica. Do you know the show 90 Day Fiancé?
Yes.
Where these crazy people go to a foreign country and they meet somebody and they take them back. That's another story.
That's what they
You know, but then I think it would have been such a better story if he had come to Ross and you know, this Dominican girl and say, oh, you know, she's cute. Let me take her back to the set. That's not the story. We just met in New York.
You just met in New York.
Yes. Gina actually introduced us.
Oh.
Yes, Gina and him did certain part of their medical training together.
Okay.
So she introduced us, and I'm forever grateful to Gina. Because without her, I would have never met Paul. Yeah.
And be where you are today.
Yes. So the thing about it is, I did all that for Dinah. I felt so fulfilled. Right? I had gone through all the no's. I had gone through all the trials, the tribulations. It was time to enjoy life. It was time to relax, enjoy my family, enjoy my job, teaching at an online university. And then a strange thing happened. A little voice started going up in my mind, saying, Simone, so when are you going to give back? And I kept thinking to myself, boy, leave me alone. I already gone through all this trial and tribulation. It is my time to relax. It's my time to enjoy life. I just want to enjoy watching my daughter grow up. I want to enjoy life. I want to relax. And for Dinah, that little voice would not leave me alone. It kept saying to me, when are you going to give back? And I knew exactly what. It was a purpose. Because I truly believe that each one of us are here not just to have a 9-to-5 job, right? Not just to wake up every morning and do the same things over and over. We're here for a purpose. Look at the amount of people you reach, right? You could have just, I'm sure flow keeps you incredibly busy.
And Yui. Well, Yui came after, but still. Yeah.
Right. So you could simply be doing that and being focused on you and not impacting people's lives in a positive way, scheduling interviews, trying to figure this out, you know, this WhatsApp back and forth. I send you one video and say, oh, lovely, but I need it a different way. You don't have time for that?
No.
You really do not have that. You have a calling. You've been called to impact, to be a spotlighter, to impact the world and to impact people in a positive way.
And it's the way it happened, you know, in my case.
Yes.
You know, went to the AIC. I mean, I know I've shared. Went to the AIC AGM. Mrs. Amo, Mr. Ed again, and Mr. Macmillan were there sharing their stories about how they navigated through business over the years. And I thought, no, more people need to hear
that.
And that was it.
Yes,
That was
people need to hear that.
Yeah. And my dad, of course, you know, played a critical role in that. In you know how I know he had done so much, contributed so much, and yet still, you know, I don't think people recognized him, you know, and gave him the the credit that
Right.
he deserved for, especially when it came to community, especially in Point Michelle, you know. So that was my motivation
Yes.
at the time.
Yes.
And then your motivation was something just came to you and said, how
When are you
going to give back and how?
Yes, and how? And I thought to myself, all along the way with the other goals, I've always been a goal setter and a goal achiever, right? So I've always set goals for myself, and despite any obstacles, I've found a way to achieve them, including a very important goal. Because what happened was, after I went, I studied university, Columbia University. I was working and doing that. So all it was 7:30 in the morning, go to work, come back home 10 o'clock at night, right? I started to gain weight. I had never gained weight in my life before. I've always been a very active person. And I was like, oh my God. So I had one goal of achieving my academics, right? And another goal was going on at the same time, trying to lose weight. And then it dawned on me that every time I would go running, I would think to myself, the first 10 minutes were the worst of my life. The worst of my life. I just kept thinking, boy, I just want to go home, crash on my couch, forget this running thing. But I was determined because I wanted to be a runner. And I always noticed that after the first 10 minutes, I would get into a rhythm. And it just popped into my mind. Push past 10.
That's where it came from.
So people always ask me, but where did you get, and it's the name of my book, so I'm holding up the book right now because I actually brought a copy with me. And that is where listening to the universe, Vidina. I cannot overstate the importance of listening to the universe. So here I am, and I'm like, wow. So I'm going to put everything that I know about setting goals, achieving goals, whether it's losing weight, whether it is going to school, whether it's getting your finances right. What are the steps you need to take to be able to get? And it works for everything, because think about it. Sometimes you go to work for Dinah. You don't want to, I don't want to say, I'm sure Floor is a great place to work, for Dinah. I'm not saying anything bad about Floor. I don't want to get nobody in trouble. But you're not always in the mood to work.
There are days like that. I mean, let's be honest.
But once you've spent about 10, 15 minutes, you get into a rhythm.
You're right.
So the critical thing is to be able to push past those 10 minutes. But the other thing we also have to keep in mind is that setting and achieving goals is not a linear operation. So you don't just go and keep going. There are setbacks. And if you don't mind, I just want to read a couple of lines of the book, because I think we have a misconception.
I don't mind. I want you to also show it as well.
Yeah, we have a misconception that people who, like me, and you set goals, I know one of your goals right now is finishing UE. People like you and I who set goals and we are finally able to achieve it, it's a smooth sailing, and it's not. We have setbacks along the way all the time. But it's what do you do to push past the setback? So if you don't mind, I just want to read the introduction, because I think we have to dispel the myth that some people have it together and we don't, because guess what, Fidina? None of us have it together.
No.
None of us have it together. You might be struggling in one place, I'm struggling somewhere else, right? So why don't we stop judging each other, right? Why don't we come together as a community and support each other? Because you don't know my challenge and I don't know your challenge.
Correct.
Right? So just being a listening ear, a support. So the book starts off by saying, today was a miserable day. I planned to run 5 miles, eat healthy, and get on with the rest of my day, my normal Tuesday routine. It rained all day, and I was in no mood for another day of treadmill running. Instead, I retreated to my favorite recliner, and before I knew it, I had downed a bag of chips and dip, 3 mini cakes, and an oversized turkey sandwich. You would think that after 15 years of living this fit lifestyle, that I would have a handle on a day like this. The truth is, this lifestyle never gets easier. If you're looking for a quick fix or an easy way to lose weight and keep it off, you might as well stop reading and keep your current lifestyle. If, however, you're ready to embrace the reality that this is a one day at a time, fail more times than you can count, and finally learn to manage a healthy lifestyle, then you have come to the right place. What keeps me going? Tomorrow is a new day. Like I have done for the last 15 years, I will set my gym goals tonight. I will drive straight to the gym after taking our daughters to school. I will push my treats to the back of the fridge. Yes, that actually works. And I will plan my meals for the week from tonight. It goes without saying that the key to managing a fit lifestyle is to plan ahead. None of this is new to you. But the missing piece is that no one tells you to prepare to embrace failure.
Yes.
Prepare to embrace failure. This has been the key to my success, and I am here to show you why. Once I understood that I can recover from these bad days, which sometimes last an entire week, I was able to embrace the challenge of this lifestyle. Of course, none of this came to me overnight. My goal with this book is to save you from the 15 years of trial and error I went through in order to get to where I am today. I will do this by presenting you with 5 easy-to-read chapters on tips and tricks for getting fit. Most importantly, my objective is to teach you that if you can push past the first 10 minutes of your fitness routine or any other discipline, you will be amazed at how far you can go. You will also learn about the importance of developing mental tools such as mind chimes and mind grips, which will move you from a position of weakness to a position of strength.
So this book, from what I'm listening to, is actually based on your own experience, your personal experience.
Yes. And the good thing about it is, because I know everyone is so busy, the book is 57 pages.
57.
So, I always remember when I was done and I told because I wrote the entire book and then I told my husband. And then I said, oh, it's 57 pages. He's like, Simone, that's not really qualified as a book. I said, no, I just took all the fluff, right? Because we all have busy lives. We don't have, most of us don't have time to read a 200-page book. So I wanted to make sure it was short, to the point, and kind of just tells you what you need to do to achieve any goal. Mm-hmm. And then with that, I published this book for Dinah January 1st, 2020.
January 1st,
2020. So, I started promoting the book, going to church conferences and the like. And then, of course, what happened in March of 2020?
Tell me.
COVID.
Yes. Yes, COVID.
COVID struck us in the face, right? Struck us in the face. So I turned to doing interviews, looking for podcasts, looking for interviews. And one of the interviews, I know Sam George is watching and listening. Sam, good evening to you. From TDN. Mm-hmm. Thompson Fontaine. Mm-hmm. Was one of the interviews with him. And then 2 weeks later, he called me and he said, Simone, I've been thinking, you want a radio show? But Dinah opened to the universe. You want a radio show? I said, Sam, you crazy? What do I know about broadcasting? I don't know anything about broadcasting. Why would I want to read? He said, I'll teach you. I'll teach you. And thus, Untapped Potential was born. Where, like you, interview inspiring people, people who've done incredible things along the way to inspire other people. And then I started doing the interviews via Zoom. You just have to stay open for Dinah, stay open to the possibilities.
Correct.
Started doing the interviews via Zoom and then realized, hey, if we put this on Facebook Live,
that's it.
People can interact. Mm-hmm. People can ask this person questions that I may not think to ask the guest. So I took it to Facebook and YouTube with the help of Sam George, incredible guy. From the Grand Forks area, of course. Good evening to you again, Sam. And then, so that is how Push Past 10 on Facebook was born. And then I continued along, always being prepared for Dinah. When you're doing a program, come prepared. right?
Yeah.
Look at how you prepared. You asked me questions. Simone, send me your bio.
Yes.
Simone, and we already had a conversation because I interviewed you.
Yes, correct.
So, you know, we
No.
never know each other.
No. It can be a bit of a challenge, preparing. There are days, I'll be honest with you, that, just before I come on or I leave home, instead of taking a little 30-minute nap to get ready, I actually have to go and try to get prepared. And I take my notes, you will see that I have my notes and my little information.
Because you want a professional production.
Exactly. Let me give you a story. Let me give you a little story. When I worked at DBS Radio, one of those reggae bands from Jamaica, it could have been Steel Pulse, I don't remember who exactly it was, but it was one of those. And I remember that they were coming to perform. They had to go on another radio station, I wouldn't say which radio station, before they came to DBS. I believe in preparing.
Oh, absolutely.
I believe in preparing. So when I was told that I have to do this interview with that group, I was like, oh my goodness, I know nothing about them. I called Steinberg Henry. I am not sure. Maybe Steinberg may even remember the band it was. And Steinberg gave me my information, Simone. And I wrote down my information and I prepared and I'm ready. The interview on the other radio station was such a major disaster that they decided they're not doing any more interviews. I can never forget that. And it just speaks to being prepared.
Yes.
If you just take a moment and prepare, you'd be surprised how it turns out.
Because I always say, and I say this especially to young people, you don't know who is seeing you. You don't know where your work will end up, especially if you're on social media. You don't know who's watching you. But before I say what I was going to say, this was actually not my first foray into promoting our people culture and all that stuff, because I used to have kind videos back in the day, you remember?
Yes.
So I used to do the festivals. I did Creole Festival, I did Atlanta Carnival, I did Labor Day. So I've always been, but I know when it comes to us, I'm just a show. I think you remember I talked about how they stripped us of everything and look at what we built? I think that is worth showing the world. Of course. So I've always been somebody who's been very interested in showing off my culture, right? So back in 2008, I had high videos and going around filming festivals and all that stuff. But then, I got married, pregnant, all that stuff.
Changed.
So things changed.
Yes.
Right? So here I am doing my untapped potential. And then someone comes to me and they say, hey, do you know portions of your interview on Q95 News? I said, what? I said, okay, that's interesting. By the third time, somebody told me portions of my interview was on Q95. I said, well, I have to reach out to Mr. G and thank him. Because, he doesn't have to put my interviews on Q95 that reaches a worldwide audience. So everybody knows everybody. So I got Mr. G's phone number. And I said, well, of course, but I never struggled with my boots. Because, come on, this is Sheridan Gregory. So I'm like, should I call? Should I WhatsApp? Should I not WhatsApp? I said, what's the worst that can happen to someone? Either he doesn't respond, or he says, no, or something, I don't know.
And are you calling till they say thank you?
Yes. So I WhatsApp him, and I said, you know what? I really appreciate the fact that you put my interviews on the radio station. And then he said, well, let's talk. So we talk on the phone, and he's like, well, while we're talking, how about a collaboration?
Right there.
So Dinah, I said, wow, look at the universe. Look at what the universe is doing. And I'm telling you, I tell people that all the time, right? When you stay prepared, if I was doing a lousy job on the interviews for Dinah, do you think Mr. Gregwell would have been interested in my interviews, right? But when you stay prepared and you stay open to what the universe has for you, it's for you, right? And that's how we worked back and forth. We came up with the title Roots Connections on Q, because I realized that not only was technology important, it was important to leverage technology in education, which is what I was doing. It was important to connect people. There's so many Simones for Dinah who have been through what I've been through, have gone overseas, and they want to give back. They want to give back to Dominica. So we've created an opportunity where people who've gone overseas and have been successful in anything, it doesn't have to be academia, whatever field you've been successful in, we've created an avenue where you can give back to Dominica. You can inspire people. You can be a mentor to people. And so Roots Connections
was born. Yes. Fantastic.
You know? So I think that the moral of the story is remaining open to the universe, and also what we talked about before, that spirit of abundance.
Yes.
Right? Not looking at each other.
Let's talk about that.
Yes. Yes. Not looking at each other and thinking, oh, I had this person on my interview. Look at that. But I never want to take the same interview. As a matter of fact, it's flattering to me.
Exactly.
It is still my idea. Because first of all, I don't have a copyright on the idea. No. I don't have no copyright on nothing. Nothing I do, I don't have a copyright on it. So if you see me do something and you want to take the person, you want to give the person more exposure, that is a good thing. But when we walk in a spirit of scarcity, we see that as an offense. We think to ourselves, wow, you're taking from me. And you're not taking from anybody. Because what has been preordained for you, the steps that have been preordained for you to walk. Do you really ever think, if 10 years ago somebody had told me I would be in broadcasting for Dinah, I would tell them, go get your head checked.
That's right.
Because I have absolutely no interest.
Or when we were at C4 that we would think that, you know, we'd be sitting here, we're not going to see how many years later, oh my goodness, no, we'd be sitting here, you know, having this conversation. One interviewed the other one. How long ago was that?
Well, I checked, it was April 2021.
21, about a year ago. And then here we are today, and we're reversing the roles. You know,
it's staying open to the universe and walking in a spirit of abundance.
Yes.
There is so much success out there. There are so many opportunities out there. And I have to tell you, for Dinah, and it's a real thing, because I mentioned to you before, I saw on Facebook, somebody said, oh, this person started making coconut cheese in... This person started making coconut cheese in New York. Now look, this one going to start making coconut cheese in Georgia, and the market is so small. Why are you copying people's ideas? That's a spirit of scarcity.
Is you that created coconut cheese, not true?
That is a spirit of scarcity, right? If you are walking in a spirit of abundance, you would say, wow, you know, great. People are creating coconut cheese. Let's see which coconut cheese who prefers. But for the world has 8 billion people in it. You know what coconut cheese we can sell? You know what coconut cheese we can sell for the 8 billion people. And we're worried about the next person in the next state over
making a little coconut cheese or a little something else.
That's the spirit of scarcity. Because I don't know if it's because we're from a small island, right? We're thinking there are only limited options to earn an income. But I keep saying, when we leverage technology, it's the 70,000 of us here in Dominica and the 250 of us out here in the diaspora who are like me, longing to come home every day. And even when we cannot be home, we can leverage the technology to make that financial impact. We have to stop walking in the spirit of scarcity. Let us walk in the spirit of abundance. Let us think to ourselves, boy, there's so many opportunities out there. There's so much success out there. Let us collaborate. Let us put that.
You know what I'm telling you?
I could be mad at you. You're in the spotlight. You highlighting people who have gone through important journeys, and part of what I do is that. So I shouldn't be sitting here with you because you're taking my people.
Let me tell you something. This to me is one of the most beautiful things I've done.
Yes.
And I'm sure it's the same for you. Just sitting here and two of us just having fun, having a good conversation. Yeah. What I want us to do after we leave here tonight is, you know, somebody coming down, So for Dinah, this person is coming down. I think they could be a good guest for
and
their
that's how
show.
it should be.
People reach out to me, and I have to say no to them because. So from now on, it's going to be. Hey, probably you should contact Simone. You can link up. She does her own, the way her own is done. She would be able to accommodate you. You understand? I'm not going to force. And I have the perfect person even for you, Francilia Agar.
Oh yes.
Is going to be here. Now, Francilia Agar is supposed to be. The plan was for her to be with me on the 11th of July, but I may not be here. I may have to travel for work. So I can do Francilia Agar. So why can't Simone do Francilia Agar? Because of the time that she gets here.
And even if you do Francilia Agar, but I know what is wrong with me.
Exactly.
It's more people, it's more exposure for people.
Right. It's going to be a fundraiser. She's going to be here for a fundraiser. And good evening to you, Lang Sorrento. Lang tells me that she listens to the program. Lang, I want to give your activity, a little push here tonight. And so, Francilia Agar is coming here to put on a benefit, a fundraising concert.
Nice.
I don't remember the exact date. It could be the Saturday 11th. It could be the Saturday of that week, that she's going to be here for that. And so, that is the things that I want us to do. Or if I can do hers, somebody else is doing another program, like I definitely won't be able to accommodate, but probably this person can accommodate. I mean, people have their reasons why they prefer being here, and on my program. But at the end of the day, this is how we help.
Community.
This is how we help, because it's not about Francilia being on my program, but it's about
the exposure.
It's about the exposure for Francilia and for the fundraiser for music.
Yes.
You understand that's gonna come from it. So she comes on, she speaks about it, people buy tickets, they go. And that is what we need to think about. That is what we need to think about.
And if we don't remember anything from this conversation tonight, that is what I want us to remember. Walk in the spirit of abundance, not the spirit of scarcity. Whatever is out there for you is for you. Don't worry about who's stealing your idea. If they steal your idea, think of it as flattery because they admire you. And learn to tweak your idea, learn to be innovative, learn to think outside the box. So when they steal that idea, you have 10 ideas waiting down the road. Let them take it.
And your purpose, the objective of what you do, for example, Simone, is that you want to empower people. You want to help people to become more economically and financially stable. And that is part of the purpose of what you do with your own program. Mine may be to let's motivate, let's inspire, let's get people to learn from the experiences of others.
Exactly.
That is what we're here to do. And we're supposed to be able to collaborate.
Oh, and one other thing I wanted to mention as well before we wind down is I did bring a few copies of Push Past 10 for sale while I'm here in Dominica. It's also available on Amazon.
Oh, yes.
The e-copy and the paperback copy. And what I want to do, I think I have about 10 copies, and if this is actually a complimentary copy to you,
Well, thank you.
so I'm going to send that over to you.
Yes.
And what I want to do, it sells for about $9.95 on Amazon, so that's about 26, but I'll just round it up to 25 EC. And what I want to do is the proceeds of the sale of any of the books that I sell here in Dominica, I want to give it to the Girl Guides.
Okay.
I want to give it to the Girl
Awesome.
Guides. And the reason I choose the Girl Guides is very important because, as I mentioned before, we had very little money growing up. And I always wanted to be in the Girl Guides. Structure, discipline, confidence, building confidence, right? And we would attend the meetings, me and 2 of my cousins, and they never turned us away for Diana. We couldn't afford the uniform. So anything that involved, church service, anything that involved having to wear the uniform, the match pass, remember the match pass for independence, you have to go service.
Yes.
The Prime Minister couldn't do that because we couldn't afford
missed out.
We couldn't afford the uniform. But they never turned us away. They would allow us to come to all the meetings. Friday afternoon, 4 o'clock, I still remember. They would allow us to come to all the meetings, participate in all the activities, learn from being a Girl Guide. They never turned us away. So we have to remember the people, the organizations that impacted us along the way. So what I want to do, I think I have about 10 copies.
Okay.
I want to sell them while I'm in Dominica, and I already know the leader of the Girl Guides, Abigail Christmas.
Okay.
I'm going to get in touch with her, and I'm going to hand her the money
How
from the Girl Guides.
how will people be able to make contact with you to purchase?
The best way to reach me is my email address, pushpast10@gmail.
Okay.
So pushpast10@gmail.com if you want to make a purchase while I'm here in Dominica. And of course, if you want to make a purchase online, it is Amazon pushpast10.
This is awesome, and the reason for choosing the Girls Guide is a
Yeah,
good
because we
one.
have to remember.
Yeah.
We have to remember where we come from, and we have to remember who got us to where we are today, and we have to, as Dominicans, make a conscious effort to give back, so that the next little Simone that is going through what I go through knows there's a path, that we've already been there, done that. So let's give that another little Simone a path to walk through to get to where she's trying to go.
And this is a good way of giving back, especially to the Girls Guides. And I hope that persons purchase the books and allow you to be able to make that contribution. It may not be $5,000, but it's your way. Yes. And it's your way. I think what's important here is you just remembering that they never turned you away.
Never.
Even if you didn't
And
have
they
the
could
uniform.
have. They could have said, you know what, after 6 months, you don't have the uniform, you can't. And I don't know if that is still the policy today, but I'm just speaking my experience, that after 6 months, they could have said, well, you know what, you don't have a uniform, you can't be a part of the Girl Guides. But they allowed us to be a part of the fellowship and learn so much from them without turning us away simply because we couldn't afford a uniform.
With a PhD in psychology.
Well, my PhD is online learning administration, but I teach psychology.
But you teach psychology. Can you be referred to as a psychologist?
No, I'm actually an associate professor of psychology. So I don't practice, I teach.
You don't practice, you teach.
Right. So nobody's laying on my couch.
Nobody's laying on your couch and you're listening and trying to help. Okay, all right. And you've been doing that for quite some time. 14 years. And it's on an online platform.
Yes.
You don't go physically into the classroom. No.
I've never visited the university. I won't call it a university. It's actually considered the very first online university. So if you Google that, you'll figure out which.
You'll figure out.
So we were the original online university back when online learning had quite a stigma.
Okay.
Because there was a stigma that it's not as effective, and now look at us.
Really? What I'm going through reviewing?
Look at us.
It's not effective? No.
So we were the original online learning university, so I've been with them for about 40 years.
Okay. Simone, it's already 10:09. Yes.
Oh, wow, the
10
time.
past 10.
Oh my
10
gosh.
past 10.
Right.
Push past 10. Anything in particular that we were speaking earlier on about the situation with the missing child, and just trying to understand what might be going through the head of the young man, and I thought that probably if you would like to probably just share on that your thoughts on the whole situation.
Well, I think at this point he needs to be institutionalized if he's found, but I want to just reiterate what was said on the interview today, that no harm should come to him if anyone encounters him. Of course, if he's threatening your life, you have to defend yourself. But we should try to not bring any harm to him, because at the end of the day, he's a human, he's sick. Mental illness is a sickness, he's sick. And unfortunately, if he's killed, we may never find Kadisha. So we have to keep that in mind. So I want to reiterate what was said on the media, but I also think, it speaks to the broader problem. That we as a society, we have to do more than simply speak about the issue when it's at this late hour. Right? How can we intervene? For example, for Daniel, again, I'm not going to call any names, there is a young man, brilliant young man. He's been on my program several times, and I know for a fact he's going through a change. And it's not a change for the positive. And I had someone reach out to me because I was looking for a particular guest for a program. And someone reached out to me and said, oh, you should have him on your program. And I said, no, I think he needs some help. He needs some...
I think we both know of the same person.
I think you know who I'm talking about. And it's unfortunate because the person said to me, no, he doesn't need any mental help. He's just at a higher level, man. They're not just at a higher level of consciousness. And I thought to myself, that if that is the mentality of our people, then this is how it progresses to the point of no return. Because we have to be able to identify the signs. The people who know us best have to be able to say, wow, there has been a shift, not a change. There has been a shift in Fadina. What she used to talk about before, she's no longer talking about this. She has gone off on a tangent and she is just speaking of things that are way different. That might be a sign. It could not be, but it could be. So the most important thing is having a psychiatrist, because I'm not a psychiatrist, having a psychiatrist explain to us, right? And I think that's a program that should be done. Mr. G, you listening? We need to have a program on that. Have a psychiatrist explain to us what are the signs of mental deterioration, what are the signs that there might be a potential mental illness in the making. What should we look at? Because it starts with the people who are closest to us. They know us the best. They interact with us every day. So they know what we're like. Has the person's hygiene changed? Right? Are they walking around no longer taking showers, no longer being inches? Especially if this person was somebody who was very into fashion, very into being pristine in their appearance. And now you're noticing little changes. So we have to be our brother's keeper. So I truly hope that this will not just become another situation that happened and another situation that was just left to fester and take its course, and we're just continuing to talk. But we have practical ways of identifying very early, identifying those who need help, and we're able to get them the help early. Because the earlier you're able to get the help, the better you are able to control the mental illness. By the time we get to the point where Kian Alexander is, he is very much gone in the wind. And yes, there may still be hope for him. He may have to be sent to a location outside of Dominica to get help for him, but I'm still hopeful because he's a human being. He's a son of the soil. He's a Dominican like us, and he deserves the help that in the same way if one of us had cancer. We wouldn't say, oh, because it's stage 4 cancer, it's over. We're not going to try to medicate. We're not going to try to heal it in any way. Stage 4, you're dead, right? So even if he's to the extreme of the spectrum at this point, because I saw the videos of him, and he is to the extreme of the spectrum, but he still deserves help. He still deserves help, and I am really praying that this comes to a quick resolution, that we don't spend another week, another 2 weeks, months trying to figure out where Kian and Kanisha is, and we can bring this to a resolution and get the help that they both are going to need, because now Kanisha is going to need it.
Yes, because so I was just going to go to that point, that when Kanisha is found, and in Jesus' name she will be found, she too is going to need some serious mental health evaluation and support.
Intervention.
And help.
Yep, absolutely.
She's going to need that as well.
Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah.
So again, with that situation, we continue to pray for the best. So Dr. Mathieu, sounds a little strange saying the Matthew sometimes, you know. We have to get ready to wrap things up.
Yes.
A couple of things I want you to do for me. I want you to again remind persons where this book can be purchased. I want you to share your various social media handles with us. I want people to start following you, to start following your pages and all of that. So let's deal with that before we wrap up.
Yeah, sure. So again, Push Past 10, available on Amazon. You just simply type in Push Past 10, PUSHPAST 10. That is the Amazon page. You can reach me at pushpast10@gmail if you would like to purchase a copy and support the Girl Guides of Dominica. And on all social media, I'm pretty much on Facebook and YouTube. But I know who has time for all this TikTok and Instagram and this and that. So
something is going to suffer.
So Facebook and YouTube, same handle, Push Past 10. Of course, follow, like, and share on Facebook and subscribe on YouTube. And we can continue to build our community. I like to call it, our international village.
That's it.
Where we come together, we promote each other, we celebrate who we are as Dominicans, and we promote our products, our culture. And did I mention I learned to speak Creole on Facebook Live?
There are times that we can focus on, and there's some people who join you.
Yes,
and I think this is brilliant.
Yes, and I have to thank, I saw Noreen Joseph on the live earlier. I have to say a huge thank you to Noreen Joseph and Alex Powell Bruno, our dear friend, for being brave enough to decide to teach me to speak Creole. And again, going back to remaining open to the possibilities of the universe. I literally saw Gordon Henderson, who's a huge supporter, thank you Gordon, posting some little comments on Creole on Facebook. And I decided to reach out to Gordon. I said, oh God, I'm going to say I'm troubling him. So I didn't hear back from him for 2 years now, for two days. And if you know Gordon Henderson, if you're in touch with him, he's somebody who's very quick on the WhatsApp. So he didn't hear. I said, oh boy, I guess it was a bad idea. And then he reached out to me and he said, it's a great idea. So we started with him, Mikel Henderson, and I think it was Gregory Rabes. But of course, people get busy. So now it is actually Alex Bruno. Noreen comes in if she is available. Tina Bell, the Ramon is another Dominic. Oh, she's always on. Thank you, Tina. Thank you for your support. And we have 2 people in England, and Delbert Harry is also aboard. So it's growing. And I posted the first 5 lessons where they taught me to speak Creole on pushpast10.com. That's my website. So people are always saying, well, I want to learn Creole. I'm like, the 5 lessons are right there. Yeah. That's how I learned Creole. So, moi vais parler so mon comment ici, moi vais parler Creole, moi vais faire programme pour ça c'est nous, comment ici, parce que moi c'est un monde créole, nous pas ça dit, nous c'est monde créole.
Et nous pas ça parler.
Nous pas ça parler. Tout le monde m'a dit.
Maman nous
dit. Yo ka dit, moi pas parler créole, non, mais on n'y peut parler créole. Parce que ça c'est nous. That's why I call the program ça c'est nous.
Simone, how long it took you to learn?
It took me, I never thought about that, but it took me, because the thing about it is, nous tout connaissons créole ça. C'est parce que nous pas parler créole. Nous pas connaissons créole, mais nous tout parler créole, mais nous embarrassés.
Parce que nous embarrassés.
Parce que nous croyons, nous faire un mistake. Nous dire un bagage qui pas bon. So comme ça, nous pas parler créole. Mais quand vous commencez à parler créole, vous pouvez voir, mais tout ça c'est à la tête moi. Tout ça c'est à la tête moi parce que moi lève 4 monde.
I love it.
Parler créole. Quand ça tout ça attaque moi, ça moi ni pour faire, c'est parler.
So, if you commence à parler,
il can venir vite comme ça.
Oui.
C'est vrai, Fadina.
Oui.
So, if for our English-speaking audience, I was saying we all grew up hearing Creole. A lot of us, we feel we don't know Creole, but we know the Creole. It's already in our minds. But we're too embarrassed, we're afraid to speak it because, oh my God, I will say something wrong. Say something wrong. Go ahead and say it wrong. And Alex and Nora would always just correct me.
Yes.
And then I learned how to
That's
say
how
it
you
right.
learn.
And so we continue to have the
But
conversation.
you did so well.
Yes, and I'm very
Oh my
proud. I
goodness.
am very proud for Dinah because this is what we created, right?
Yes.
This is what we built. This is what how our forefathers communicated to ensure that our masses didn't know we were planning a revolt.
That's it. That's it.
So it's at the core of who we are. So anyway, for Dinah, thank you so much.
Yes.
Merci
Oui.
pour program Salah.
Simone, this was awesome. This was awesome. Let me just ask you, my dear, let me thank you so much, for being here. We were in connection when you approached me for to be a guest on the program, and then I realized we were not friends.
Mm-hmm.
Was it that we were not friends, or we were not following each other's stuff?
No, we were not. I think you followed me, and I said, "Oh, thank you for Dinah for following me." And
Oh,
then,
yes.
And then I said, "Oh, well, let me just ask her. I know what she can say." And I no. I said, "Let me ask for Dinah." I said, Dinah's like, "Well, I don't do interviews." But she said, "I'm going to step out of my comfort zone."
I did say that, didn't I?
Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. Yes.
No,
and I'm
I
happy to
remember.
hear that you continue to share part of you.
I
because
probably
it's
just did
important.
one more after that.
Really?
Yes.
You should do more.
Well, I have been approached to do one or two more that
You should.
I'm considering.
Yeah,
So,
because you know what? Anybody who can be an inspiration
yeah.
should. Because there's so much darkness in the world, for Dinah.
Yeah.
When we can share positive light, it's important.
Definitely.
It's important.
Let me allow you some final comments, my darling.
Yes, so final thoughts. Don't forget the power of no to propel you, to direct you. Do not let any detractors. I hope you can learn from my experiences from a very tender age.
Boy, you had
10
them.
and 11. Be careful the words, your actions, because you simply do not know how it will impact somebody's life. So tread carefully with your words and your actions. The power of thank you and please for Dinah. I forgot to mention that one. So important when we're communicating with each other to just be gracious, right? Because it's so easy sometimes with emails and social media, hiding behind a computer, a smartphone, to just post anything. So let's be mindful of that, right? The power of being open to the universe. What is out there for you is out there. Don't be afraid to step into a new position. Don't be afraid to step into something different. I'm not one to tell people to abandon your job and jump into something else. But if you have an interest, there's so many social media groups on Facebook of people who've done what you're trying to do. Follow those groups. Be a part of those groups. Have those conversations so that that purpose that you know is within you, you can move in that direction. Don't go and quit your job. Don't have to Simone say, quit my job and I have my bills and my family to take care of. Simone, pas jamais dit ça.
No. Simone, ouve for nous. Aller sur live. I know just big up a few people.
Oh, yes.
I know you always do that. It's not a thing
Yes.
that I do, but
And
because you do, I want to give you the opportunity. So
And
between the two of us, we can just aid up a few people.
And I have to tell you, my WhatsApp is on fire. Frances and Satney, my godmother, I spoke very nicely of you. Thank you for being here. Liz, Sam, nice to see you guys. So thank you all for being here. David Johnson, Fred Barron, they're all here. So let's see who's on the Facebook Live. We have quite a few comments. And for Dinah, when I don't have a chance to actually respond to all the comments, I go back and read my comments.
It's hard for me. This one is a little hard for me.
Yes, it is.
But
Yes.
it's important.
It's important.
I try though.
It's important.
I try, especially if I put an important post on Facebook. Sometimes I go back and try
Yes.
to respond.
Yes.
But we're really grateful.
Yes.
We know this program is primarily a radio program, but we have contact with the people who are actually viewing. So people like Glenda Shillingford
Oh, yes.
is a regular on the
she
program. I see Sabria
Oh, my sister.
is also on.
Sandra Lawrence.
Yes.
Great to see you.
Yes.
Serena Elwin. Great to see you. Of course, our friend Omar, who is
Yes.
Wonderful support. Agnes, always great to see you. So thank
Tina,
you so
Tina
much,
is
Tina.
here. Celia Deloney, good evening to you.
Yes.
Thank you. She said thoroughly enjoyed this discussion.
Thank you.
Thanks, ladies. It was our pleasure as well. But just wanted to use the time and just say hello to a few people.
Absolutely.
Lisa and Miss Isidore, I would presume, and quite a few other people on there. We just really wanted to say thank you in a huge way, and keep supporting Fedina and In the Spotlight, and Simone and Push Past 10 and everything that we do. You know, a lot of it is voluntary. All of it is voluntary. You know, and I really just want to thank as well the people who give support in one way or the other to help with other things. And we do really appreciate you. We do not get a salary for doing this. We do it for the love of it. Simone wanted to find a way to give back. I got inspired through an AGM of the AIC and through my dad, and here I am. And we both, I know Simone will agree, in my case, I really want to thank Mr. Gregoire for giving me the opportunity to be here and to do this program on Monday night.
Yeah, and I have to thank Mr. Gregoire as well, because he didn't know me, Fedina. He could have signed me up for the show, and then 2 months later I said, boy, I can show that anyway. Right? So he didn't know my level of professionalism. So I'm grateful to him because he took a chance.
Yes.
And we have to be grateful for so many people who take a chance on us, who give us an opportunity, and don't squander the opportunity for them. I know so many people who've had opportunities and they've squandered it. So be grateful and remember to not squander the opportunity. And you know, Sam George is on my WhatsApp and is reminding me that we're on Redemption Road together. Actually, we have to do our lines.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, so thank you, Sam.
Some time ago, I saw Nicole post, and she said, all the persons who have not yet done their live, Sam will be available from 8 o'clock tonight or something like that. Sam, I promise this week, God willing, into the weekend, we will do
because we're reading together.
Oh, we are?
Yes, for Redemption Road.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes. So we'll do it face to face. We'll find a time to do it.
Yes, we will.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so Sam send us the lines.
We're going to make this work. And again, you know, Nicole Georges and Sam and the rest of the folks giving us an opportunity to be part of this.
Yes.
I really do appreciate it. I mean, the opportunities come sometimes you have to say, I'm sorry, I can't, you know. But there are 1 or 2 things that you have to give back in that way as well. Simone, it seems like we're just sitting here thinking there's not other people listening and having our own conversation going on.
I truly enjoyed this conversation.
Oh my God, I did.
Thoroughly enjoyed it.
I did. So, we're going to wrap it up? Yes. So, folks, we're going to wrap things up here tonight on the In the Spotlight radio show. We thank you for sticking around with us. For those of you who did towards the end of the program, God willing, we will be here next week, Monday, for another In the Spotlight. When is your next program?
Wednesday, June 22nd.
Which is Roots
Connections on Q, and we will be looking at how are we protecting our most precious resources, our children, with the 10 murders that have already gone for this year, with Kanisha being missing right now. How are we protecting our most precious resource, our children? So that will be the topic. We've already had Tad James, Black Pepper, has agreed to join us. So that's going to be pretty dynamic. We'll have a psychologist with us, Dr. Triffy, a Dominican living in Atlanta, and we will have one of the guests. So that should be a very good program. So next Wednesday, June 22nd, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. right here on Q95, the big station. I like to say the big station.
All right. And then don't forget the premiere of the In the Spotlight TV series, limited series, is going to happen this Saturday, 8 p.m. Make your choice, YouTube or Facebook via the In the Spotlight.
Yeah, and also don't forget to follow Q95 FM radio on Facebook and Q95DA.com for all the best in programming.
All right. And on that note, folks, I know we have lap hour. We could stay here all night talking.
Yes.
But we we have to wrap it up now. We thank everyone for their support. Steve, thank you for the dinner tonight. And we just want to thank everyone for joining us on the program, and continue to follow the both of us, what we do, and enjoy the programs that we present to you. God willing, next week Monday, back here. Until then, have a good night, everyone. We appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you.
Thank you for listening to In the
You're
Spotlight.
good, you can
We would love to hear from you. If you have suggestions of guests or topics,